Um, Good evening. Here we go once again from the beautiful jewel of the Caribbean, Belize. G Mike in your presence, along with co host Gregory Merson. Greg, your mic is muted. We have to wait. Joe said he'll be a little late this evening, and we have a guest coming on. Evening, Greg.
Good evening, and good evening
All
to
right.
all our viewers and listeners out there.
I wanted to say that I listened in on the commission reform meeting this earlier this week, I believe it was, or late last week. I saw that you were involved. I heard your comments and whatnot. Apparently, well, the guy did a wonderful job, and the interest is evidently there.
Yeah,
I,
Mr.
I,
Usher, Mr. Usher, right? Ed
yeah,
Usher,
yeah,
Ed
yeah.
Usher.
He was. I think he stuck to the game plan, which was more an education than a garnering opinion. But of course, he couldn't stay away. He couldn't avoid that because people do have their opinions, no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that, however, we need to do that. We need to go through it. Um, he he was pointing out, and I remember the 5 points that Chanona had said that they heard more often. We didn't get any of those this time, I don't think. One is stronger checks and balance. The next is accountability. Then, of course, there's adherence to laws. That is important because, and Joe and I had a discussion this morning because he was talking about, well, the next one, of course, is penalties for
Yes,
breach
yes.
of your um, office.
Mm-hmm.
And our argument was that I'm saying that adherence is as important as enforcement. If we adhere to laws, then we
You,
wouldn't have to
you need
rely
to be the
so
spirit.
much.
You have to be lawful, right? You have to be
Indeed,
lawful
indeed.
and go approach it, not trying to circumvent what's there, and even when it's not written specifically, to try and just go around it. We have to have lawful people.
Well, we all think we're slick and we can find our way around things, in particular certain laws. But we're breaking the laws if we don't abide by the laws. Now, once you break the laws, I understand that there has to be some kind of enforcement in place, and this is what people are saying. And Joe has been saying this for a while, that the commission, the the document, which is the Constitution, is quite clear and specific in the laws and outlines. And if we were to make sure that when we don't abide by the Constitution, the laws are enforced and there are penalties, which is one of the things that people do want, penalties for violations. Um, but I'm thinking that if we, as citizens, understand the need to adhere to the laws, understand the common sense of the laws, why they are there, not to hold you in some kind of captivity, not to refrain you and restrain you from having a good life, but in fact to make sure that you can have a good life, but that everybody else also can have a good life. So I think the guy did a good job. He only was specific to a certain area of the Constitution, but I don't know how you see it, Greg. I think a lot of the Constitution is obtuse, not easily understood, not
Mhm.
in user friendly language.
Mhm.
So I think that might be one part of the exercise should be to make it easily understood.
Yes, I agree. And one of the concerns is that often it's not the common citizens that's abusing the Constitution. It's the people that we have appointed, that have been elected to serve in government and to protect the Constitution. Those are where most of the abuse is coming from. It's not from
E-
the regular
Exactly,
citizens.
exactly,
So
exactly.
so that is the problem, and they know better. They use every cue they have to break it and circumvent it, and not to follow it, and to have their own way with whatever it is they want to do. And that's where we need to strengthen it so that they're held accountable. But I am also quite concerned, and I think the next session is coming up, is going to be a comparative review of our constitution with others, with other constitutions. And I don't remember the name of the young lady that's conducting that, but that's the next one they'll have
Or
for the
that might be
diaspora.
Perdomo,
Yes, yes,
Magali
yes,
Perdomo. Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Because one of my big concern is that I don't want to see a big hefty document, because then that will make it just more difficult for people to go through, and it'll be more intimidating for the regular people, and it will be more leeways and more segues for those sophisticated cats
To,
that chooses to do things wrong. So I think keeping it simple, keeping it plain language, keeping it brief is going to be of benefit.
yeah.
The Constitution is one document. I mean, look at the American Constitution. It's not a very big document. I think it fits on like 2 or 3 pages. I just was looking recently at the South African recent Constitution. It's like in a pamphlet, like 8 pages. Like
But
a little pamphlet kind.
it doesn't need much, because that the basic
Yes,
rules that
exactly.
is the 10 Commandments of the country. Let's put it that way.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
once you get the basic
Yeah,
things in there,
yeah.
um, I I I I think though that more important than anything, it has to be easily understood. I
Yes.
mean, whatever you put in there, the basic. You see, I
Hmm.
mean, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, basic. You
Yes,
go
yes,
to, go to all the then and you put a minister's discretion in,
yeah.
because we were talking about the part with, and they need to address that, where you cannot be a citizen if you come from a country
That claims our country.
that claims our country.
And then
Common sense.
yeah, and then we turn around and say minister discretion could
Yes.
override that very
So
basic of
why?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
That's true.
corruption. It's corruption. It's corruption.
But why
It
we're
is.
here, Greg, because we've been on different sides of this issue. But speaking of that, and but written laws and words and whatnot, we have, and I've read this before to you. The Let's talk about the dual citizen and the coming to Belize and running for office, because I think you still think that those dual citizens ought to be able to do that, right?
Yes, I believe that, but not without meeting the residency requirement. But I
All right,
think they should be able
yeah,
to keep
yeah.
their
But
citizenship.
but but I want to make a point, and give me a couple of minutes to put forth this argument. Then you could come back and tell me
Hmm.
what your argument is and why you think this argument is not valid. Um, the Constitution says, "I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty of which I have been heretofore been a subject or citizen." All right. I want to get to that, just that part, and it's not much longer, but like you say, I like how they do it, concise and to the point. The fact is, know that I've been saying this, that those dual citizen Belizean Americans who want to come to Belize and run for office has more to worry about that from the Americans than they do from us. We could change the constitution and allow them to. But see, when you take an oath, and this ends by "so help me God," you are there's a penalty for perjury, lying on the oath. So if you do that, and Joe asked the question last week, do people who take that oath, are they sincere? And if they're not sincere, then they're lying on the oath. And the crime for that, which is called perjury, is up to 7 years imprisonment. Now, we need to look at the word renounce. The word renounce means to formally declare one's abandonment of a claim, right, or possession. Um, the term abjure, a firm and final rejection or abandoning often made under oath. And again, this is specific. I entirely and absolutely renounce and abjure. You make it twice. You reinstate what you're saying. I think they're gonna have to worry about that at some point. The U.S. is not paying much mind to it. They don't even worry too much about dual citizen, though I don't think it's written in their constitution as it is in ours. But you might face a problem, and that's it. Now, what do you
Okay.
think?
Okay. The way I approach it is that Americans, born Americans, can come to Belize, get a Belize nationality, and then run for politics and serve in any capacity. And so can members of the Commonwealth and other countries that comes to Belize. They can serve just freely with no issues as regarding to that concern that seems to lurk in the mind of you and many, that there is some allegiance that would not do well for Belize. I'm
But you're
saying,
missing the point. You're missing a
n-
point here.
n-
It's
okay,
an
what?
oath that you take before God.
But see, we need to put God in its proper perspective, right? That
Huh?
we need to put God in its proper
Uh, what
perspective.
what what purpose is proper for God, bro? The, the,
well,
I you
because God is not worried about it. It's man that's worried about
you
whether
that's
you
not it.
say,
But when you go before God,
yeah.
that's not a small thing. I mean, and you're not saying whether you believe or not in God. You're saying that I swear on the oath. This oath, an oath before God. You don't get no higher than that. There's no other
Yeah, but
stronger
see,
term.
I don't put that. I agree, but I don't put any more weight on that particular statement than say I
So
swear
it's just
before my
words.
mom. It's
You
just
say it's
words.
just well, all
It's
right,
just
but you
word.
swearing. All right, it doesn't that part of it though. But anyway, our guest is here. Barbara, good evening.
Good
Hi.
evening, Jim. I tell you to
Oh,
go.
Gally to go. With that right, yeah. Thank you for joining us this evening. Gregory and I are having this discussion that we've had often. I don't know if you want to weigh in on that, and
We
I don't know
can't
if
get
you have
out of it.
yeah, but if you have a specific uh, um, topic you want to jump on immediately, that's all right too, because you're the guest. We give preference to our guests as far as what they. But this is in reference to the dual citizen and those who want to come to Belize and run for political office. Um, my argument is that there's an oath that they swear to before God, and he's saying he not put no much importance in a God in that context. But the one serious thing because that makes it a perjury, lying if you don't stick to that oath. If you say you did do something and not do it, you're the perjury yourself, and it's you can go to it's a in fact in the U.S. it is a not just a misdemeanor, but it's we call it higher one.
Felony, felony,
It's a
felony.
felony.
Melanie?
It's a
Yeah.
it's a felony. It's because they say in the oath now,
Uh-huh.
absolutely and entirely renounce any citizenship I had before. So I have my point has always been listen, you could come to Belize and do that, but you have to renounce that renouncement that you made because you have made a renouncement.
Yeah. America and its citizenship have always been absolute in ways that doesn't occur in any other country.
So
And
it's
so that
absolute. Yes. Yes.
so they make it that way, but I
Yes.
don't think they'll hold anyone. And
Oh,
even
you
if they
think they're not
hold,
serious about it?
no, and I think they're serious, but I think you'd have to cross something in the law to make that come an issue for you.
Well, yes, go in another
No, I mean,
country.
if you had committed treason in this country and things like that, then that kind of stuff would
But but
apply.
but
But
the-
but
but,
it,
but
but just to run for politics in your
you
country,
mean
I
just to
don't.
perjure yourself? You don't think they'll take that
No,
seriously?
no, I don't think you're
Let's hear
perjuring
what
yourself.
Barbara. Let's hear what Barbara got to say.
I I think that Belize, we not practice the level of allegiance that other countries practice. I think that I've always been left field when it comes to that. I believe that a lot of the problems that we face with development in our communities in Belize, is because of the lack of exposure of our leaders. I always believe, and not my belief, and I said it a lot of times, that Belize it's time, and I tell the people in the diaspora that it's the Belizeans who live outside of Belize would be able to save Belize and help Belize if they work as a unit. And I could go me one, and I could go me one, and I could go different angles to say why I say that. You understand me? Because I believe that um, grow inside of your own environment. And I practice that even in my home with my children. I remember I went for ecumenical, I went to Belize Technical College and everything. And I did the same thing for my children because I say, you know what? Go to school at Belize City, make them call you Kerob, and you grow over it. And that won't be a setback in your life.
But,
Because some of the lack of
Barbara,
exposure
what
becomes a setback in our life.
what about the people who have stayed in Belize all their lives, have not gone abroad? Are you going to say that they haven't grown and they're not worthy of the same level of citizenship as those who have gone and enlightened themselves, if you want to call it that?
I'm saying that, and I always remember the conversation I had with the late Adalbert Tucker. Bert used to say, you know what I would do, Bube? I would take all the young people out of Belize and put them in a different parts of the world and bring them back home,
Hmm.
and we could move. But
Yeah,
at the same time, some of us, a lot of people go away and remain in the same pocket. So some
Okay.
people that left Belize 1973, still they in and a Belize mentality 1973 because of the thing that, so growth not necessarily mean that you live away from home.
Right, right.
But
So,
growth means,
yeah,
because you go to work and you have to speak your English, you have to do, and then you come back in your environment. And a lot of times, I think that as Belizeans, in our group, in our packing, we stunt our growth to remain authentic or relevant to who
but
we are.
all right, let me hold you to this though, because you're talking about going away and growing or not growing. But I can't. Are you going to tell me that those who stayed at home in Belize, and I've always been grateful for those who stayed, because that then keep Belize and the diaspora send really money and whatnot, yes, and helped us to grow. But those who stayed here, or we would have no country if we would just all get up and gone. So, are you
agreed.
saying to me that those who stayed should enjoy a lesser level of citizenship because they're less enlightened or maybe they didn't grow as much?
No, I'm not saying that, G Mike.
Because
I'm not
Adalbert,
saying, I'm talking about exposure and what you could bring with the growth of the
yes,
country,
of course, that is
right?
possible. And you could also bring some negative influences
You
because
could bring,
they
and
sometimes
that will
do.
tell you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
You could bring
exposure,
some negative,
exposure.
influences, and I've said this too, that a lot of us come to the states and go wherever we go, and we adapt, or we take back some of the negative things that we pick up there. You understand me?
Let us talk about Barbara a little bit before we go on. Tell us who is Barbara
Yeah,
Nara.
but
Do,
and that's why I tell Mr. Young when he called me. I said, "Boy, you have to tell me and stick to what we want to talk about,
no, no,
because
no.
my
We
perspective on a lot of things,
we don't
so
we don't do it that way here. We talk about everything and they're just respectful and we stick to Robert's rules of orders. We hold firm to a certain decorum. So
Okay.
we have feel no way about anything you want to talk about. We will talk about. We have a bunch of things to talk about because you're already gone now, and you use the key word, and you know now that cancel culture being what it is, we have
Oh,
we have decided we don't want to deal with that. But let's
Okay.
go on. Tell us. We'll get back to that. But tell us about Barbara Norales.
Well, Barbara Norales, I usually refer to myself as the little girl from the end of the world.
Okay, because
I like that.
they said if the world had an end, Belize would be it.
Because they
I
said
like
if
that.
the world had an end, Belize is it. So I
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
said a
right.
little girl from the end of the world.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What has that little girl been doing besides being naughty?
How do you
See,
know that, G Mike?
and Grove, she's exposed. She tell me that already. She anyway.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, she.
Let me tell you something. I've been living quite an incognito life, quiet life, as you know. But
No, you have been
I'm
doing.
currently living.
You have been
Uh-huh.
living anything but a quiet life, Barbara. We've been hearing from you all the time. You are when you know when to get involved, and you do get involved. So, yeah,
Ah,
you're not quiet by any far stretch of the imagination. But go on. All right,
well,
you
another try get me in a trouble tonight.
all
But
right.
I've been living in Arlington, Virginia for the last 5 years.
Oh, you see now where that
Yeah.
you should me want me for the diaspora, because then I may
Oh,
know
you think I'm
what to
talking about
expect
me?
from you. That's yes. But you need to also take note of that. But let's go then. All right, you lived. You're from where originally?
Dangriga,
And
Dangriga.
you born and raised there, gone to school there.
Barriers and Dangriga. I went to Sacred Heart Primary School, grew up behind the reservoir at Sawai Street.
Did you ever run for politics?
Yes, I did.
PUP or UDP?
I ran for UDP 2006 to 2009.
Uh,
And you like trouble. I sent in a resignation after 3 months, but I
uh,
rescinded. Yeah, I rescinded my resignation. I'm
hold
not.
up.
I'm
You
not.
got elected then.
Yeah,
Make we get it clear. You got elected.
yeah, I got elected.
For what? Town council?
Town council, Dangriga Town Council. I
All
was
right.
councillor in charge of culture and tourism and something else.
But what now? And but you resign after 3 months.
After
Why?
because
Why did
I
you?
believed I believed maybe I got into I had no interest for run for elected politics,
But you did.
right? Yeah, but I
All
did.
right. All right.
I
So you
did.
grabbed that
And
bull by the hand.
I honestly believe that I could have made some change and make a difference in my community
But
when I did.
and you couldn't. They wouldn't allow you to.
No,
Were
because
you, were you
um
asking too much? Maybe asking for too much too quickly.
no, I was working too hard. I believed in work. I believe in getting, and I believe that um, I know that my presence and the things that I do is heavy, and I think that some people kind of be intimidated with that.
Okay.
So I decided to step back. But when
Well,
I when I when I when I rescinded my when I one of the reasons why I rescinded my resignation, G Mike wanted to put
what? One of the reasons why we don't want to hear that you're done there.
oh lad.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I rescinded my resignation was that inside of the party, they decided somebody knew that I liked writing. I used to write for a mandala and everything.
Right.
And there was somebody sending articles to the Belize Times, which was the opposition newspaper, about some of the things that were happening at the town council, and claimed that I was the one doing it.
Were you the one?
I wasn't the one.
Do you know? Do you
The
know who was doing
person,
it?
the person who was doing it later came to confess and said,
I
What
mean,
were
"Well,
the
this
thing?
is
What were
what
the
I do,"
things that they were
you
saying?
know.
What
But
I'm trying to understand it because it's
the thing was they were writing like I had betrayed the council, like I had reveal
so they were
hidden things.
telling tales
Right,
out of school.
right.
I see.
And
Uh,
so, it,
but it wasn't you.
It
But
wasn't.
you knew who it was.
I later found out who it was.
You didn't know while it was happening, so he wasn't getting it from
No,
you.
no,
All right.
no. And
Yeah.
so I learned from an inside source that, they would have a big celebration on the day of my resignation and different things and other things that maligned my character. And so I had an advisor who told me if I were you, I would rescind it.
So
In
you,
fact, I rescinded my resignation the same day one of the articles came out.
and you went back and served again.
And I went back and served, and I said it was all about the people. And I went back. I concentrated on doing my culture Sundays. I concentrated on doing the things that I was supposed to do.
Right,
And
right.
one of my major source, God bless him, he's gone now. Romel Tiburcio Perdomo stood by my side whole through and said, "Bubi,
Interesting.
they don't know you like how I know you." And
Interesting.
so
Maite was here with us a few weeks ago, by the way.
and so and so, G Mike, I left Belize because I believe that I would have been, I consider myself the ultimate Gregalian. I would have been the last one remaining in Belize when everybody come to the States. And what explicit can I use on the program? Can I use something light? Is
Hello,
that
Yeah,
the
you
man.
could
word?
go ahead.
We good, man.
Okay.
We in
Because
our adult program.
when I moved to this area, I said, I'm a dead Belize and I'm a Ras whole promoter. And I came to Virginia and where I live, and I was a folk life specialist at a museum.
Interesting.
And so that is what I am telling you. It's not about coming out. It's the value of who you are
Well, there are opportunities
and
that
the
you don't get
opportunities.
at
Right,
home.
right.
But you were you so you served out your term of office
Yes, I
and
did.
in Dagriga. Yeah, the one funny thing because now I have I've been reading a little bit here and there and sometimes of the Bible, and I was reading a part of the Bible that gave me uh like a light went off, and you used the word earlier because we know that when we say Garifuna now as opposed to the key word that you use,
Carol.
but I look
I could
I,
use it.
no, but I see, yeah, you can. I saw in the Bible now, and because you know the word chasm, don't you? Chasm is spelled
No.
chasm, the one bridge on gap that you have to bridge to
Mhm.
get from one side to the other. So there's a chasm there, like a gulf. Now chasm is spelled CHASM,
Uh-huh.
chasm. Now in the Bible they were talking about cherub, but it's not cherub as KERUB. It's CHERUB
R-U-B.
because the Savior was there with two cherubs on his right and left, and so and in fact it's funny because the cherubs are these cherubs, if you want to call them cherubins, the plural cherubins. So when you think about cherubim and cherubis, I saw something there. So I don't think that anything will have to be ashamed of. But yes, when people use it in a derogatory term, we
Yes.
have to object to the use of that. They're like nigger. You don't want to
Right,
be
right. The same thing.
you
Well,
refer to somebody as a nigger, no? So
let me tell you because I went to school in Belize City at an early age at technical.
mhm.
And and I went to SJC. And so when somebody vex or because then that's the term they use
Yeah,
to
Mhm.
you to
but
think they think that they're putting you down.
right,
Mhm.
And I
right.
believe that for a lot of us who are Garifuna, that becomes a setback,
Mhm.
right? And so and now I tell you, I give you the context in which I trained my children.
Okay.
I
Mhm.
said, go to Belize City because it becomes a rite of passage. Go to
Mhm.
Belize City, go to school, make them call you Kerob, and you get over it. That was the
Mhm.
only fight. That was the only fight my son had in high school at SJC. about
Yeah.
a guy who called him Kero.
Well, that's
But
all they had to attack him about, obviously, no.
right,
So,
Yeah,
and if
but
yeah.
if that's all, then he is who he is, and how you know
yeah,
that. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah,
once you get over that,
tell me
that is
now.
not a setback in your life.
Exactly.
Tell me,
Uh-huh.
Barbara. Why? Let me run a narrative down to you, and you tell me whether it's correct. Stop me anytime I'm not doing right.
Okay.
There's supposed to be a ship, one of the slave ships loaded that was passing off the course, I believe, St. Vincent. It crashed, and the occupants were marooned. They went they went to St. Vincent, and they met with the Caribbean Indians, and well, they were dominant genes, obviously, and they mingled with them. If I can remember one time, they used to be called Caribs as opposed to Garifuna. Then they left from there after the whole thing with Chateauye and his defeat at the hands of the British. Apparently, I did some history on the story, and where the man apparently um, invited them to a duel, and then he had a choice of weapons, and Chateauye felt that there's no man born of woman that could kill him. Then they were taken from there and taken to Jamaica for a while, then to Honduras. After a while, they left Honduras and went to Belize. So far, in a nutshell, am I in the area of truth?
G. Michael, I'll tell you what I tell anyone. I do not have historical conversation.
No, no, no. But
Because
I'm getting
it
to a
what
question.
that's what yeah that's what we were told. That's what
All
historically
right.
that's
Yes,
the
yes.
story.
So now,
So, but
my
I left history to the historians.
my question would be, Barbara,
Uh-huh.
are the Garunagu um are they what the term when you now how could I slip that, because this
Indigenous.
indigenous, are the Garunagu indigenous to Belize, Saint Vincent, Honduras, where? And can you be indigenous to more than one place?
I would differ from that question.
Where
I
would you
don't
consider your homeland?
I would consider Belize my homeland.
Okay.
And
Okay.
one time I was featured by a organization called Unidos in Washington D.C.
Uh-huh.
that spoke about your Afro Latino heritage. And I took a lot of because what they happened, the Garinagu that are from Honduras and Guatemala refer to this the link to this Afro Latino, and I took a lick from my Belizean Garinagu, who said that we were not Afro Latino, and I said, well, so are we ruling out our history of Honduras because we just skip living in Honduras and go straight to Saint Vincent?
Yeah, that's interesting. And
You understand me? So Honduras,
most of the names
right,
you picked up in Honduras got
right.
the Spanish names, right? So
Right, and every one of us still have relatives living in Honduras,
yeah,
living in Guatemala, in La Buga, but I don't think we know the relatives that are in Saint Vincent. But we're going to claim Saint Vincent, and no disrespect to anybody who is claiming Saint Vincent, because there's the history there at Saint Vincent. But I believe that before we go to Saint Vincent
We go to
and
Honduras
do what
and
we do. Make we go to Labuga and Honduras where we have my grandfather, my great grandfather had 5 sons or whatever, and some of them still live in Honduras. The offspring still live in Honduras. Some live in Guatemala. Then the
yeah.
others came to Belize. So let's close in the gap
Or maybe
yeah.
just
right
stay in
there.
Belize. Maybe just stay where you are in Belize. You are a Belizean. You were born and raised in Belize,
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, like you could say, like black people would say, "Oh, we're Africans," but at the end of the day, you're a Belizean because of course, we have ancestors that come from different areas, but
areas. Right,
we
right.
are where we are, and at the end of the day, you are you, and your consciousness. It might be helped and added to by a knowledge of your history, but at the end of the day, you are what your
What you
conscious
are.
mind, what you are.
And I think that one of the things I notice here is that because Belize is small and our population is small, like the polarization of Belizeans in the US is not helping us. Because you look at the pockets, no man, either from PG, either from, instead of we have, and I think that that should be the role of the embassies to create a unification of Belizeans outside of Belize.
And they got enough money funded to them. They got money allotted to them. Really? Do you know how much the embassies cost us, Barbara? But you're making a very salient point. And I like that because now you said something that has struck a chord. You said that the ones over there ought to come together. And I felt that is more important than trying to come to Belize and running in politics in Belize. It's more important that you come together over there as a bloc.
Right,
You would have
right,
a louder voice.
right,
And I
right.
am in favor of the diaspora having a seat in either the upper or the lower house. Certainly, I think the diaspora needs a voice, and they are significant enough. They are still Belizeans. Now, the sticking point has always been I want to go and be able to run for. Don't know. Many of them wouldn't. Gregory, would you want to come to Belize and run for politics?
Not really, no.
And
No, I,
very
I've, I've
few.
never I've never thought of running for politics ever.
There are a few overambitious ones that would like, but I think it's more important, yes, that the diaspora and maybe Barbara, you being over there now, can help to make that happen. Come
For what?
together.
Have to make people come and run for politics?
No, I
Oh,
mean
unify people?
unification, yeah, man.
Um, the thing is, G Mike, it's a difficult thing because then, like I tell you, we still see ourselves south side, north side, Belize City,
Yeah.
either from Griga, either from, you understand me? And
But
so,
you gonna have that. That's
but
natural.
but the thing is, events like when they used to have the Belize Park Fest in New
Right.
York City, that's a unifying thing. And we don't have unifying event. Well, now I said I think coming up that a Belize
21st.
Day celebration at the embassy. I say Ambassador Young tried to make some things big, a series of things last year, and that is new for this area because it was like 2 3 days events. You understand me? But then it's not an easy feat for get Halloween in one room and just
It's not.
go in
It's
a
not.
one kind of direction
We
because
can't. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's
But you know
difficult.
what? I don't know that you that can just the difficulty of it should not paralyze us or stop us from trying to make it happen because that's something that has to happen. Let's put it this way: we need to come together. We need to get established unity, in particular, given, and we could get to this part next, the Guatemalan situation, where we are threatened, if you will, by a much bigger power. How you can't do it united? We ain't got trouble enough to do it united, much less to do it divided into different ideologies, with different school of thoughts and different ethnic groups, even. So what do
B
you
Mike,
think?
I'll tell you what I told my friend when I visited Selma in Alabama. Dr. Billie Jean Young, she lived in Dangriga for a little bit. That's where she did something. She got a fellowship and she was there. And so I visited her in Marion, Alabama. And one day, I always tell this story. Billie Jean took me outside her yard and showed me the Lee drunken man laying at the corner. And she said, "Doesn't this remind you of Dangriga?" And we had that kind of conversation. And I was telling Billie Jean, we see the similarities everywhere. You could go to every black community outside of Africa and find the same thing. And I told her, I said, Billie Jean, the Americans, the African Americans, would have been in a better position in the United States had they embraced all the Africans that came from other places, the Central American African, the Caribbean African. you know. I said, but the stories that I hear is that the rejection of the other people came from that. And I say the same for the black Creoles and Garifuna in Belize. You know, we holla all kind of thing now, but then the black are being marginalized.
Well, we marginalize ourselves. It's our kind of
Right,
inherent nature. But I think in spite of all that, because listen, we've always that human nature, even back in Africa, in Europe, wherever
right.
the humans were, they lived in tribes. We were always clannish, and we come together. In fact, families are themselves just a sort of tribe. So, in spite of that, though, we have to try to bridge the gap, if you will, and come together in one just one unified purpose. And that purpose have to be to make Belize a better place for all of us and our children coming behind us. If we stay divided, we will never be able to accomplish anything.
So you think Belize is becoming a better place for all of us?
Well, Belize is becoming a place whether it's better or not, but we're here, and I'm saying right now it seems that you have to be an individual frame of mind that you put yourself in. I enjoy Belize. I love Belize. There are lots of things that need to be fixed, but I don't think we should be focusing on those things. I think we have to look at accentuate the positives and do what we can to not eliminate, because I think negatives aren't eliminated, but they can be managed and used to your benefit even. So
I
we
think
uh,
I'm talking for me, right? The more I go back to Belize, the more I feel like there is no place for me, my children and grandchildren. And
that's
I
sad.
and I'm speaking from the heart.
That's sad.
Because you know what, G Mike? And I tell you, my life has been my example, right? And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when I walk out of politics, the politicians then get vexed with me. And I lived through hell. And I had a son who was on a roll student the Jamaica. And we sit right down there and watch. One day he spoke to me and he said, man, ma, this hard. I say people went on the pass, barely the pass, they get money from the government, I believe. And because everybody may vex with me, one time I got support from Patrick, one semester. And after that, he couldn't do anything else or anything like that. And so I now believe that what I did, G Mike, I did everything I could to have my son hold the faith in his country, because he was, you understand me, for watch that and you struggle and you do what you have to do. I said, just do what you have to do. And then we get out from there. But you get out from there, you do what you do, and people, when they do nothing, walk away from school with a clean bill. And here we are still paying a huge bill. For, you understand me?
Um.
And so
I,
you watch the because I was inside of politics, so I know how it works.
but see that maybe that the problem. And I think even with those in the diaspora who I say aspire for that, that politics is not all there is. I mean, there's a lot more to believe than politics, and politics, in fact, are the party that I want not have to deal with. You got in, and as a result, you were ostracized, obviously penalized for not playing the game right. If you were to now classify yourself as a PUP or UDP, which would it be?
For the last two, three, from that time when I went through what I went through with my political party, I have never voted UDP, and I don't think I would ever.
Interesting.
Because this is I make I tell you something, G Mike. I am a one of the persons there where they orchestrate for make we broke down Belmopan that year. Me, Marcel Cardona, and I see what happened to everyone, you know. And I kept telling the people, and I saw what Chester went through, what everybody, Jake, the late Jake, may he rest in peace. I told Jake one day I went home, and Jake said, Bobby, you know, they gave me a ride, but I'll get in at this thing, the car. I need to speak to you. And I tell every single one of them. And I could tell, I hope Patrick Faber is listening now. When they may come for me, what make you think that they never may come for you too? Everybody, you know. And so it's not an attack on UDP, because I think that there are people who suffer the same thing inside of the PUP too. But that is the way our political system is designed to you know, and you're labeled.
Tell me
So
something.
even now, if I try to get something done in Belize and everything, you're labeled that, okay.
Have you heard the term PUDP?
I've heard I've heard that.
What
I've
do
heard
you?
that.
What's your view on that? Do you believe that there's not much difference in the
There is not much difference.
in the way?
Whenever there's an election, there are both people from both political parties who come together and say, all right, we not take care of this one, we are take care of. So there are people who benefit from the PUDP system. Yes, it's the truth, it's a reality and everything, and some of us are not fortunate to benefit from that. My friend Basilio one day tell me, Babs, how you feel? UDP no want you and PUP no want you. I said, boy, I feel blessed.
Tell me, because you use a nickname. Yeah, Bobby, Bobo, no,
Bobby.
But
That's my nickname.
where it
Bobby.
come from? That come from Barbara?
Bobby. No, we had a neighbor named Gurney Thompson of the Sawai Street.
You're sucky, Bobby.
And no. The name was bigger than that. The name was Bobby Ling. I don't know where it
Oh
come from.
my goodness! All
And then
right.
and then it stuck to Bobby. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So if we're cool with a Bobby, if we're not so cool, we're Barbara.
Well, all right. So, but
So
Barbara,
so
Barbara, Greg, don't forget. Go ahead.
yes.
So go ahead, Greg.
No. What you're saying was interesting in terms of the political layout in Belize, and you know, political parties always have these kind of strife, and we see that probably, you know, we wonder why the UDP as an opposition party didn't survive after the Barrow administration as it is now. And part of it, I believe, is that the leadership at that time never did laid out a succession plan. You know,
And they all left at the same time. I mean, you got
well,
the core of that party, the party,
yeah.
with
But I'm
being
talking about mainly the prime minister who had the responsibility to make sure there was a succession plan, and there are lots of reasons why it failed. You know, the character of the people that was in it, the fact that he did not feel, you know, when you're passing something like a country, it's not an individual choice, you know, it's a responsibility, it's a national
Amen.
responsibility.
so you're passing the baton, and you need to make sure
Amen.
the
And
next
then
person hold it
Yes, and you have to make sure that person is
before you let it
prepared
go.
to hold it. You have to
Before you
make sure
let it
that
go.
person is prepared to hold it.
Barbara,
Uh-huh.
how you feel about Shine? He's from the diaspora.
Let me tell you something. One of the reasons why I got ostracized was me and Shine had a good relationship, but then I launched my attack directly at his dad because I felt like what was coming my way and some of the things that in fact, if I could tell you, I challenged Mr. Barrow and I told him one day, I went there and I said, Mr. Barrow, this is not designed for me to help my people. He said, what do you mean? I said exactly what I said. I put it squarely, and the times then when I was upset and struggling for myself, my attacks were on the Right Honorable Dean Oliver Barrow. and
Was
he
he a good was he a good prime minister?
it's
Was he a good
I
person?
don't before exactly, you have to be a good person before you be a good anything.
And was he a good person?
But there from what I could see, I don't think so.
From your experience at least. Yeah.
From my experience,
And
from my
and
experience.
and you've heard experiences of other people. Would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give him as far as his performance during his 13 years of leadership in this country?
I just block out everything else. So I never give no.
So you never make it take this exam.
Yeah, no.
Well, yeah.
I am more disappointed and because then I was like, when there was a time when we used to, and I don't think that me and anybody with a best friend.
Let me
But there
take
was a time. There was a time when we meet and we are say,
and
yeah,
me tight.
if where they go and booby, where because with me booby and Dean.
Yeah.
You
Well,
understand me? And I don't expect you to be my best friend, but if there are some things we're fighting for and something we believe in together,
okay.
no make I fight and believe that my fight is in vain.
All right. You're not happy with him. How do you feel about Gianni Briseno?
Um, I've never had much contact with Gianni Briseño. The one thing I'll tell you, what I see and like with this government, and I'll tell you about the Dangriga area representative that I vote for, Luis Abani.
Mhm.
I have never seen, besides Chiste Garcia, I have never seen an area representative trying to creating a classroom setting. They try teach people.
Is he getting the help that you didn't
And
get?
Louis,
Or he
Zabani.
doesn't? Maybe he doesn't need it.
I don't know. I think that he comes. Louis come from Bakonga money, and he have a brain. So I don't know because I don't follow that. But the one thing I'll tell you what I observed on my last visit is that for the first time in Dangriga,
Mhm.
in a long, long time, the area representatives and the mayor no quarrel.
So you're happy with the way they
Usually,
go.
usually area representative and mayor they fall out. But you understand me?
Hmm.
And I don't want to be PUP. You understand me? I'm not saying this, but I'm just saying that and the relationship, the personal relationship and friendship I have with Louis remain up until today.
How about the fellow Perez out in Kikaka? Out in
I have no, I have no knowledge of Mr. Perez.
how about Radwell Ferguson?
Rado is a very, very great guy.
Did you
Inside and
did you
outside of politics, if I pick up my phone right now and call Rado, he's going to answer.
did you see the thing that went viral on him?
Well, I think that when anything go viral, I'll tell you that. And what I made, the comment I made about Mr. Perez is that he new to the business. Because I get none of the old galley scene at the political parties gets like that,
No, 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 no.
right?
Let me put you on the spot here though, because as a woman,
Uh-huh.
um, it was suggested that maybe Pierce and Radwell will get away with it because they're against women as opposed to stealing something or mismanaging any monies and thing like that. How high a standard should we hold men in the dealing with women?
Let me tell you something. I think that a lot of those things are political mischief,
Fabricated.
and not fabricated, but the area
Set up.
representatives
They set up.
and not even area representative people for offices or whatever, even in your personal life, you got where people realize there are people who pay people for set you up.
True. And some of
They
they
pay
don't just
people
out
to
of
set you up.
malice. Someone
You
I need
understand me?
pay.
Let me tell you, I'll give you my experience, and I talk about my personal experience. There was a time, there was a cleaning in Bengushe area in front of my mom's house. one of the persons who were cleaning forgot a weed whacker under my house. I don't know if that forgot. I don't know if that set up. But weeks after that, and he's gone now, so I could call him name. Romel called me and Romel tell me, Booby, I will pay your flight, make you come up here. The then chairman of the UDP was telling Romel that I, Barbara Norales, stole a weed whacker from the Dangriga Town Council. And it was funny, G Mike. I tell Romel, which one of the whole what weed whacker could fit in so I could steal it.
But tell me though, did you find a weed whacker?
It was basically mischief. The
No,
weed
no,
whacker was
no.
right under the house and I never made it clean. But
But
how
but
do you...
but it was there. Did you know it was there?
I had no idea that a weed whacker was
Okay.
missing. I
Because I'm
wasn't
saying
even
if you knew it was there and you didn't turn it in, then you could understand how that misunderstanding could come about.
but one of the persons then who was working
But
apparently
to
put it
say
there.
to
I
say you
wasn't
stole it
I
mean that
wasn't
there's some plans.
right. I wasn't even living at the house. It was my
Well,
mom's
well,
house,
Greg, no, really,
No,
because
no,
if
But
because how will they know that she had it unless they left it there in that and then to
precisely
account
and
well,
for
the
it
all
way
in
right,
that
no, no,
manner?
no, 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 no,
No, no,
no,
no,
no.
no, no. They even before they went and found it, they said she stole it,
No, you don't
knowing
know.
that it
We
was
didn't
left
get
there
that
and
much
could.
information. We didn't get that much
I got that
information from
information. They said she
Barbara.
stole it and that
you might
someone could go and
you're not
find it.
trouble, you're not
No,
trouble.
no, no, no. What I'm
Someone could
saying,
go and find it
if
there.
somebody comes and does some work at my yard and
Uh-huh.
leaves the weed whacker, if
Uh-huh.
he goes or leaves us even a spanner or something like that, and he goes and
Uh-huh.
I find it
No,
and
no, no. Stop right
I
there.
don't
Stop
give
right
it
there.
to him.
Stop right there, Mike. Stop.
Yes.
And then that person, you don't even know it's there yet. But they
But
go and tell some.
but say, hold on,
Stop
we
for a
didn't
moment.
get that
Stop for a
much
moment.
information from
Yes, we
Barbara.
did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And before you could go and find it, they go and tell someone you stole it, so they could go and find it at your
But
house. It's
you're
the
creating
situation.
a
Right.
scenario based on
But
your own.
but
No, no, that's what she said. Ask
but
her.
you Mike, I'm just telling you about political
But they
mischief.
are mischievous. They are mischievous.
They're political
But
mischief.
listen, Sam, let's go to Paris and Rudder. When you're in that position and you run for that, you to whom much is given, much is expected.
Oh, we
When you're
didn't
in
say
that
they were that
lofty
wrong.
position,
Yep.
you need to know that that exists. When you decide to go into politics, you know the game that you play. You know to make sure that if you do anything, you try to do it above board, or as you might say, just not get catch, not be new to the game and learn the
Yeah,
tricks of the trade.
I just believe that if 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 that is the route that they're going or they want to go, then that just from the inside it's just a game. I got this fund, that one, and you got this fund, that one. That's all. That is what, and that is one of my disappointment. That is what politics has become in Belize, because there's a term where you say you climb so high that you can't.
Suppose.
And
Oh,
no, that
not that one.
you exceed your thing, because people now, like I tell you, I was telling everybody, now they call it silly season. The who could find what on who, know that
Yeah,
just for
well,
bring
and they
down.
lie. They're not above lying.
And then the people get blinded by
But
no
that's it.
manifesto, no plan, no anything,
But
because
but but, but,
you
but
know.
Barbara, this is almost like the constitution reform thing. You know how you know where want change if you don't know where you got. The people have to make a deliberate effort to educate themselves there, to find out what is going on. What I need to do something for me too. I can't just sit down and wait and then the government not do not. And then I say, well, the government not do not. When the government is me, we are all a part of that government that need, and I know we got the elected officials. I know they intend to do what they want to do, but we need to be holding them in check. Now, this Constitution Reform Commission, when they got, do you see anything coming out of it?
Well, what it speaks to. We take out civics out of primary school. We take out social studies out of primary school. We have high school that are still afraid to have political science classes. You know, you want people to vote at 18 years old, but you don't want to talk about UDP and PUP in a school. But you could sit down, the students go watch teachers have political fights. The students have to watch, prepare themselves to go vote for the teacher there. You understand me? Everything, G Mike and Mr. Morrison, everything starts from our
So
institutions.
let's talk about education. Is it adequate or are we falling way short?
I think we've fallen short because then we're not being challenged. But I see the thing that is happening with the private schools then. You know, the private schools then with the whole robotics and coding and
Yes,
things
yes,
that
yes.
yeah. So we really did come up with that, but that is only um, for a selected few. And let me talk about the my passion and my love, music.
Okay.
Let me talk about music. Let me talk about entertainment and
Okay.
everything. It's like for the years, some years I was at Niche. Every year, Frankie Renault, renowned pianist, best person, one of the best musical person in the world, comes to Belize for a number of months. I did my best to get Frankie to Dangriga, but I never got the financial backing and everything back in the days. But I believe that somebody like that, when they come to Belize, should have the privilege of tour in every school and work. You know,
Mhm.
I
Inspire,
know, and
inspire.
Get the most
yeah,
out of him that you
inspire,
can.
get the
Get
most out of,
Yeah.
yeah,
so we could
yeah.
have,
Pick his
you know,
brain for what you can.
yeah. I watch KTV, and I was sitting and watching KTV with my daughter, and I said, you know what, they are the KTV now. They must go have like a relationship with the boutiques where wardrobe, like oh they do, you know, we watch TV, we watch American Idol, so we have somebody who dress the people there. We must go have a couple hairdressers or barber man come in, and so you see it like the quality of show, the quality of what we do
But they make
should
money.
improve.
Where the money go?
Huh?
They make money. Because obviously they're always gonna lead crowd, no? And then charge people to go in. I'm sure they could afford something like that, or they could at least be training people to do that kind of work, and then make use of that until and get in at the more
The
professional
more
rhythm, no?
professional, and but it has to do, like I tell you, G Mike, sometimes it has to do with, you wonder how much you have develop yourself to be able to go back to Belize. When I first came to the United States, you know, when I come to New York, I volunteer at Central Park Summer Stage. I volunteer at Global Fest to become better in what I do. Right? I volunteered where the big festival here, the Smithsonian Festival here in Washington D.C. Everything I could do to improve, but at the same time, no, because I don't know, I must have not got face or something like that.
Yeah.
I would have want to go back and give back and help and train people in festivals in Belize. In fact, I spoke to the Minister of Tourism in Atlanta earlier this year and said, look, I could come and, you know, work
Oh
on.
yeah.
You understand me? But either, you know, blue enough, it's not politically correct, you know. So, and that happens to a lot of people. Look on Dr. Arle Peters have his Peters Research Institute sitting in Dangriga with a country when I know how to appreciate the greatness of who he
Hmm.
is.
Yeah.
And so there thing, you know, but I'm a pain and I be my part in shots now.
Tell me,
Belize needs to learn to appreciate and use the
their talent.
brain that it has and the talent and the skills.
Well, some people say that we don't have talent. Listen, what we know it's not politics. What do you miss most about Belize?
My mother, my significant other,
Or
my
you can't
children,
live into?
my children and grandchildren. I had to
Mike,
come left. I had to come left everybody to save my life, G Mike.
yeah, that's
My
rough.
life was being threatened.
That's rough. That's rough. Yeah, you sound like the president of Guatemala. By the way, listen, Gregory, what you miss about Belize, Greg? Beside Bail Up.
Oh man. I miss just that cordialness and friendliness of just walking down the street and knowing most people and most people knowing me.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
makes quite a difference to where you go, where you're faceless, nameless.
That's true too.
Every now and then you may run into somebody but when you're in Belize, there's that cordial friendship and just familiarity with everything, even the smell of the sea.
Yeah, I smell of the rain. Barbara,
Yeah, yeah.
I think Barbara, though you've been there 5 years. You
Yeah,
said,
I just left. So
yeah,
and
yeah. That
unlike Gregory, I experience sometimes the disingenuity of the of some of the hellos and the
but
closeness
you
and
the thing is that
Well, yeah.
you that still Crawford, you that still Belizean.
I agree
Uh,
Galician to the
so
bone.
you go and that 5 years when it gets to like 15, 20, you're gonna really I think you can gonna come back home. I don't know if
I
you want
I
involved in our
promote
politics.
I promote and support everything Belizean here. Last year, I worked with the Belize Embassy in Washington with the visitor Omalewa Ocean.
Mm.
Currently, I'm partnering with the Kilgore Music Foundation. They were in Belize last week. There, Ryan Kilgore is a renowned saxophone player who has
Mhm.
this foundation where they gather musical instruments
Okay.
and support different groups. So he has met with different high schools in Belize City. So the next visit is going to be, yeah, once we get to self-organized, the next visit is going to be in Dangriga, where we could do
Good, good, good.
something. Yeah, we do something with the Punta Rock. And what I'm trying to work on is a 2 day music percussion workshop in Dangriga
Man,
over the 19th with one or two people, music people. One guy that I know started up the music school in New York City. So we are see what we could, how we could, how
are
what
you
we could
gonna
do.
come home for it or you gonna do it virtually?
They're gonna go, and
Mhm.
I think I have some people on the ground who can, work with them for me. But I just and I have to say that the government and the people in government need to support initiatives like that. And for me, my belief is, Mr. Morrison and G Mike, it doesn't matter who you. Once it's good for Belize, once it's good for my community, I will participate. Because they still got people where they say the PUP, then they go like, when the Prime Minister was here last year, there are some people where they run joke about PUP and UDP. I say, Ross, whether a statesman, PUP and
With
UDP, not
all
there,
P,
with a
same P.
Belizeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a Belizeans. So you
People. Yeah.
understand me?
Hmm.
You know too that I believe that two things, sports and the arts are integral to growth of children, to the development of a society, and they are both too important to be dealt with partisan. That
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to worry about. It should whether be whether a person got the knack for it, the talent for it, you promote it then. Not whether a person voted red or blue, or even whether in a name Smith or Jones or any kind of elitist title, and not that those two are elitist. But for a long time in Belize, we were more concerned about the name that a person has and make sure they're from a good bloodline. And
Right,
and
right.
it's totally ridiculous. Totally. So what do you have hope for Belize as far as us coming out of the rut that you obviously have seen us in?
My thing is, I tell you, I sat down last Friday
Mm,
with Mohobob and Titiman.
okay.
Some of the portions of the conversation I went live with, But the other serious side of them guys' perspective, where they basically they look forward to more forward to their death than anything else. You understand
You
me? Well,
mean rather than
they would say, all right, we don't live the life, we don't gone through this. We were having a conversation about royalties and the
uh
registering of music because I've been doing some work with a company called Garifuna Entertainment Inc. This one guy from Honduras, he's creating a platform where he's reproducing all the Garifuna music classic between Honduras, the United States, Belize, and Guatemala.
how about the Kung Super and Thief? Where are they there?
That's another story, you know.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it, and Mohobob, we were talking about Titiman never understand how this guy got the right to produce the first CD he made. And I told him, I said, the guy is once you talk to the producer of the music, the producer has the right to have nothing to do with you. And once you register, you collect your royalties. And so they were both
But
telling
you're saying they can use the music how they want to
the producer, if I produce the music like Ivan Duran, if I want buy any music or
for and the
use any
Palacio.
music from Andy Palace, anything that is produced by Stone Tree, I don't have to go to Andy Palace or any musician. I
That's
go to Ivan,
interesting.
I go to Ivan Duran, who is the producer.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
But
unless and as long as they didn't own the ownership of it.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
you mean if the artist didn't own the ownership of it? That's what
The
you're saying,
artists the
Rick?
artists get paid to produce. Most artists, when you find out like that, they get paid to produce their music
And
for
they
dollars.
relinquish it, they sign it over
Right,
to.
right, right,
Yeah,
right. So
yeah,
it
but
becomes
something inherently unfair about that, though. I
No,
think.
it's contractually how the producer owns the music
on the music.
unless you purchase it from him, or your agreement with him is that his production role is limited to
Right,
just marketing.
right, right. And
I,
so
I,
how you
And
benefit?
that's international. That's not just
Yeah, that's
limited to
yeah,
international.
Belize.
I
That's
know, but I wouldn't
yeah.
agree with it even international. But that's me. Maybe I'm naive.
G Mike,
I just think that if you're the person whose voice is on it,
Yeah.
obviously this is yours. They, the producer, they should be the one should be getting paid by the singer. But at the
No,
end of the
that's
day,
not how it
ownership.
works.
It,
It's a
that's
it,
not how it
producer
yeah,
works.
that
G
I
Mike,
it's a
understand.
producer that pays the artist.
G Mike,
I
how
understand.
you make your money as an artist? You make your money off royalties.
And of course appearances if you're doing a
And
concert or something like
appearances,
that.
right?
Concert is where they make most
If
of
you're
their money.
smart,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why you say a lot of even big artists, they rich for one day, and they broke the next day because
Yeah.
you don't have that consistency.
But I think
So
too that once you get that name recognition, you could make money even if you don't make it from the song because the producer, for the producer to make money, he has to market it anyway and get
anyway,
it
right,
out there. So once
Mhm.
it's
right,
out there, you're the one that's out there because another producer that will say, "Oh, this one, Ivan Moran, or where the guy name produced this," they'll say this and the Palacio. So that he ain't going to want to see when he gonna. So
yeah.
I understand it to that point, but there's such greed in the whole corporate world, girl. In a business, there's so much greed and uh, uh,
But your lyrics, the lyrics, if you wrote the lyrics is yours. So you could left that producer and make the song
with
lyric
another producer.
with another with in a different tone or in a different. You understand me?
Genre. Yeah.
And you know what? The irony of the whole thing was that I didn't I didn't know that Mohobob and Titiman was paying that kind of attention, and Mohobob was even mentioning that was how musically naive we were. That was music. They just, why I want to record you, and we go in a room, and and so. But afterwards, they signed up with BMI, and
Mhm.
now Titiman mentioned that he got $1,200 royalties recently,
That's not
and
bad.
that and
Yeah,
yeah, that's not
yeah.
bad. That's not
Yeah.
bad.
Now tell me, because Titimana one of my favorite Punta artists. I tell you that the man full of energy and amazing. I like it. But with the time with the lyrics, do you like where you see Punta music going? And the time, well, the beat is obviously holding steady. The lyrics of it, and some of the lyrics kind of like, not what you would go to church and sing.
Mm.
My thing is, I think that like everything else with the how you call it, the babies then with the act now, we have to accept that time has changed, and so
Politically correct.
me and you were probably lyrics was important. We have a generation where the music is led by the beat. Dan diggy dan diggy dan diggy dan and So
Many
as
times you
much
don't
as
even understand what the lyrics
I
are
was
saying.
I was I was I was at the Belikin Fest last week, and I watched how and kudos to Belikin trying to put a cadre of Belizean musician together on a stage consistently, because I
Mhm.
don't think there's nobody anywhere trying to do that.
Mhm.
So, and then I know we minister of culture, then I know we cultural institution. You
But
understand me?
one of the things I was going to say, Barbara, I do believe that the emphasis to try and promote Belize music shouldn't necessarily be on the government, I think it should be in those same private areas and those same commercial venues and avenues. Those are where it should try to be promoted. And what I see for the government is not to be standing in the way, right? To do what you can to make it accessible. If they're having a program in a foreign country, then they could say, hey, we'll take some musicians with us and promote Belize music or something like that. But in terms of sponsoring and supporting and financing it, I don't see it as the role of the government. I see people need to get out and try and find commercial ventures and avenues to promote Belize's music and culture.
I beg to differ, Mr. Morrison.
I'm sure
The,
you were.
the institution, there's institution that harnesses creativity.
Mhm.
You understand me? And the Bliss Institute should be the home that the artists feel like he could come to grow. There should be consistent music lesson, consistent development, consistent everything. Like,
Funded by the
okay,
Oh,
government.
oh, no, no, I'm
from
not. That's not
from
what I
he
was saying.
from he
That's
from
yeah,
he come 3 months, then you
yeah.
find somebody else from somewhere who care to constantly develop, because Belize have had that kind of relationship with the Cubans when it come to dance, when it come to a lot of things.
Mhm.
And I have seen that has it. So I believe that we could do better, and that institution, right after, let me tell you, right after election done, right, I, Barbara Morales, called Yasser Musa, because he had a
Mhm.
goat in a there and kind of thing
Mhm.
with,
Mhm.
and I know
Mhm.
POP, I know UDP, I know
Right.
your whatever. I said,
Mhm.
so Yasser, we're going on where we are, don't know. Because
Mhm.
that was the hope that I believe that Yasser may have come back on top in whatever the kind of institution, because that is what he knows and he knows best.
Yeah. No,
And I
no, that's
and
not.
that was my faith. That was my faith. And me and Yasser, and I'm a top UDP. Yasser, you know where Yasser come from, but with artistically, it
Mhm.
held us together.
What
Yes.
do you
Yes.
what do you think, Barbara, about the recent expenditures of BTB into this international music festival? Was it a good idea? Was it money well spent? Should we get that accounting that Shine is asking for?
I think it's a good idea, because in Belize, a lot of private people were doing their promotion and losing their monies. So let it come from the place of the government. And I'm not saying, and I don't think they make millions, But I just believe that the government should gamble on that level of entertainment. A lot of Caribbean countries have destination events where people come. They create destination event. That's a destination event.
How do you
That is
feel?
a destination event.
All right, all right. How do you feel about Carnival?
Carnival again could be a destination event. Just with the Carnival Association, and that way I tell you, bringing I had 1 year I introduced Sandra Bell, who does Carnival from Trinidad and do Labor Day in Brooklyn. Sandra Bell has been going to Belize for the last 3 4 years. I don't think she went this year and assisting with Carnival. The thing is, if we are do what we are do, let's grow. This year are like this, next year are bigger, and bring in the necessary people to grow it.
How
Why
about
we afraid of that?
how about
Ajimai?
the timing of it as it taken away from the 10th? And what are your views on the 10th of September? Should we celebrate it? Should we start to just go strictly Carnival?
No, we should celebrate. There in a Belize, no, we compartmentalize too many things. If you want to go to carnival today, and I going to attend parade today, what does one have to do with each other?
But we got a small market. When you
Huh?
compete for everybody, I don't know that I think we have to be more coordinated though than that. That's my opinion. But I was wondering how you felt the tent. Should the tent be celebrated with more gusto, or because what are your views on it? Did the battlers in Jajiski mean anything? Did it even occur, as far as you know?
But that again, education and conversation. Let's get back to the schools and find out what are the story about the tent. Bring in the historian. We need to talk about things. You
Yeah.
understand me? We need to talk about things. I always think about the term where we use square pegs in round holes. We do too many of that. Let's sit down. G Mike, what is wrong? Mr. Morrison, what is wrong with us having conversation about these things?
Let
You
let
know,
us.
make the politicians and start going to the school and talk to the children.
It is September. The next
The,
big
you know,
thing,
the
of
the
course.
politicians is quite happy keeping the people ignorant because that serves
Precisely.
their purpose.
Well, there
They're
are two
quite
sides of that too. The people remain ignorant because they want to
They
remain ignorant.
want to
that,
remain
They are
ignorant.
well,
to, we
well,
need to uplift ourselves. We need to take personal responsibility for some of these things, though. I
that's
think.
true, but there needs to be an initiative in terms of education because that it takes the action of government to do that with resources and with programs like
Well,
you
I
said.
guess that the same thing what Barbara said should happen with music, no?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and
uh,
I didn't oppose what she was saying when she went off to talk about the Bliss Institute and supporting. That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about I want to see the businesses promote
like Belly King, how
concerts and
Belly
things
King.
like yes, I want to see
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah, yeah,
businesses
yeah.
do that. I didn't have a problem with government doing because I mentioned some of the areas where I thought government could work, but I didn't want it to be the load on government to promote music. I want them to play an effective and appropriate role, but
Yeah,
not.
one tricky thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
You
yeah.
don't know
like
how you, how you.
look on the conversation about the Belizean musicians
Past and present.
complaining about how they treat them comparing to the
Oh, yes, yes,
foreign.
Our
yeah,
Super
You
G,
understand me?
Super G,
yeah,
of
yeah.
course, came up. Yeah.
That was at the
The thing is
concert
the,
at the
the thing
island,
is
San Pedro.
where is your contract? Where is your management? Where is your and I did talk from a perspective because I have managed a lot of them. You understand me? But when the more organized and structured you become, they see it as all right. You will get, you will have to get $200 out of me thousand. It's what we demand to be treated as. Everybody, just like how you think Spice contract and Ryder. come weeks before what what she's gonna expect. And all of the Jamaican artists that has been coming to Belize, because one came and never got paid, they get paid before they go on stage. Why can't you do that? Why can't you do that? Make your contract and demand what you want.
Which is where the manager comes in, no?
Where management come in, because you
Yeah.
can't. Okay, nobody, anybody could fool themselves. You can't market yourself and you can't sell yourself.
The 19th of November is coming up.
Mhm.
How we could talk about that. You happy with the progress of that? How it has evolved?
Um, no, I'm not.
Why
But
not?
then, because then it becomes culturally, it's not what it should be.
Too
And
commercial, you think?
huh?
Too commercial? Too
No, not like everything else. Everybody just their own world. It's this about me. You made that for me. This one that for me.
so you're not thinking about collective spirit of celebration that happened.
I don't see it as one. I don't see it as
How
one.
do you respond to people who suggest that, well, if you got one well, not Carib Settlement Day anymore, Garifuna Settlement Day, should you shout someone for the Mennonites, one for the Creole, of course, um, maybe the Indians, the Chinese. How do you respond to that criticism?
Uh, that's BS, because then PV Ramos saw the need of cultural preservation. He saw what the why the Carinago had to run out of Honduras and other places, and he went and fought for a day. Nothing wrong with other cultures if they could track down historically what day is important for them. And then they put in the same request. So we're not going to governor again. Put in request to the government. This is what I want for my day. And this is why, this is the significance. Because history is always created. So if if
Uh,
people,
do we have?
saying that because of culture is a cop out. Because I made that statement at the embassy in Washington, D.C. I said those embassies, because the Garifuna culture plays a role of representing Belize, I think that a Garifuna person who could do something like that could be in one of the offices. The person who was there told me, well, that means we could get a Mennonite. That means we could get. I said no. In Washington D.C., is a cultural dynamic plays a heavy role here. I've done more thing as a Garifuna promoter in Washington. I've presented at Howard University earlier this year. I've done more thing, not because I didn't say it because I like Garifuna. I'm saying it because that is what stands out.
But why couldn't Indian do it? Why couldn't a Chinaman do it? Why couldn't Mennonite do it? You see, to follow up on the question that the girl was asking you. I
So
mean,
if anybody,
any culture could do it. A Creole
if
could do it.
if anybody asks for a cultural presentation of
Belize.
that represents Belize, what the Mennonite does, a Mennonite dance group could come. Would
Well,
that would that would that would that in your view, would that
I,
be a
but are
representation of
they
what
not
Belize
as
is?
Belizean as every other ethnic group in Belize?
And we're not. I'm not saying that they're not Belizean.
Okay.
You understand me? If
You
you
don't
ask
think they would do as good a job presenting?
so if you represent Trinidad,
Uh,
do anything to represent Trinidad. You going for the Mennonite that have migrated or Chinese that have migrated to Trinidad?
who would you go
You're
for?
going for the friggin' soca or
So so so
whatever or
Indigenous, yeah.
so
calypso
you think maybe they should only go for the Creole then?
in Belize.
Yes.
So again, you, you,
You know what, Barbara?
if there's a Creole dance group, and that's why when Greg Vernon made it the Bliss,
Niche, yeah.
yeah, the dance company became a mixture of everything that is Belizean, that is representing Belizean.
All right, you were talking about different cultures lobbying for their individual days. Does Belize have too many holidays as we have it now?
I don't think so.
I agree with you. I'm with you.
I
I'm
don't
with you.
think so.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
We could do more. I think from the 10th to the 21st should be slam down loan holiday.
That's
Everybody
too
say,
much now, G Mike. That's too much now. That's
I
too much.
think Belize have like 13 holidays, and I think it is probably a burden on the business people that has to support
well,
it.
but they make money ordinarily when everybody else to spend money with them. And you know that the boss, the business boss, can go
Oh,
where he want when he want to go and stay
yeah.
away as long as the want money still to make.
Well,
I think modern day slavery if we look on it a whole, just some people are thinking.
Belize slowly they become the party capital, Mr. Morrison.
I know, I know.
We did turn up, we did
Yeah,
Bogody.
yeah.
So
You know,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
tell 'em
I
about
was
it.
having I was having a conversation with somebody.
Uh,
There was a complaint about um the IT event or different events that are things that are being done in Dangriga where children they learn. And this one person said, look on it, you watch it, the lone little Spanish children and everything. What happened to it? Dangriga children or black? I said, and my response is, Huna like that? I said, then they bogody. You know the new term because then with children the party. So
Interesting. One of the kids in the park, he nicknamed Boogity. So, uh, what does it mean actually? Yeah,
bogody means
Lone
bogody means
Ras.
bogody means outside.
Oh,
It's a
Out,
term. It's outside because
up
at
the
the
north.
after COVID when we had to lock up,
Yeah.
and then this one little boy coined the term and made a T-shirt named Bogody.
norm.
Then boy make a song named Bogody.
Interesting. One of the Garifuna artists then?
Yeah, I think
Who?
Sweet Pain.
Okay.
But it means outside.
Who is your favorite artist?
Punta artist,
Yes.
Caribbean artist,
Yes.
Horacio Mohobob Flores.
Ah. All
I love
right.
my I love my musical injection.
Yeah. Mohammed. Yeah. But yeah.
You want to see me come in the front and dance? You want to see me move, G Mike? Give me
Make
a good
Mohammed take the
move.
mic.
Right. He
Yeah.
does that. He does that to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's what's in the future for Barbara Norales? We know in NB politics or under politics under the UDP, but
When
He
anybody,
does.
when
He already
anybody,
changing your party, Barbara.
she changed it.
when anybody asks me if what if I'm gonna run, I say I'm gonna run away. I'm not run for nothing.
Hmm.
Um, the future for Barbara Morales, my interest is to work and get more knowledge inside with regards to the structuring of the artistic world.
So
That's
you're
my
building your life around music and the arts. So, I would
right,
say.
and the arts, like the partnership, like I tell you, the partnership with the Kilgore Music Foundation here, and so that's why I'm aligning myself in that world around here, and hopefully one of these days when I get a lot of money, I could but my thing is to get their non-profits
You
to
mean
help
when you get more money?
structure. Like if the foundation formulates something with the Lil Academy, the growth in music, because I believe that the future and the development of Belize is giving opportunities for children. Give their children the opportunity. Must go have children learning to play the saxophone. We must go have children learn wind instruments. We must go have, we Belize has, I maintain, Belize has the best of everything the world has to offer. It's just our responsibility to embrace it, to celebrate each other, and everything. That's.
The the thing is that, and I was talking to somebody earlier, that a common comment, a common sentiment from many people is that Belize does have is loaded with talent, overload of talent, but zero discipline. What do you think of that?
Agreed. Discipline and consistency.
Right, stick to itiveness.
Stick to it. I tell all them musicians, and okay, what I want to say, I don't want to get on stage and dance like, you know, I don't want to do nothing. I just want to stay behind and run things and sit at the stage and nobody come
But do the
with
best
their
you can
pants
at that.
yeah,
Yeah.
nobody they come with their pants they drop up and they just give a good show. Call me what you want. That's it.
Yeah. Do you see a time when the Belizeans at home could get together with the Belizeans in diaspora? You see somewhere in the future where we can do better at that?
I don't think so.
Serious, girl?
I
Well,
don't
that's
think
a
so.
dim
I don't
view,
think
though.
so because the difference of mindset. Because if you get exposed, right, and if you come and you have your experience, Belize the one place in our communities where the tail run things. I tell you, I used to I used to work with a band where I used to tell the band leader, the smartest man, I said, Rasta, the man we get the most trouble, you got the lead you on this band, that the man may not, you know. So I think that Belize have a culture where you have to kind of dumb down for fit in. If you know, if I know certain things, like G Mike, you know something, and you have to shut up in an environment where you know because he think you know when you know. You understand?
Uh,
So,
yeah. All right. We got problems, Barbara. We got problems, but I don't think they're unsurmountable. I think that if we work, if we put more effort into it, we'll be able, and we might have to change the mindset where we feel defeated, and a defeatist attitude. I'll tell you, if you suggest, but I don't think you can get no better than this. It has to. It's not good.
well, forums like this where you sit down and talk about it and have real conversations because
Yeah.
they don't got much places where you they have real conversation.
Well, that is true.
I
Yeah,
was
and
selected. I was selected to be one of the women. I did one of the women in politics cohorts there, and I talk about my experience. And maybe I was at the wrong place, but I said if I had to do it again, I would never do it.
yeah.
You understand me? So I don't think I think I'm in the wrong place. You know.
Speaking of your proclivity, you that the correct word for more towards UDP than PUP. Did you see the bust of?
We're kind of talking that, baby. We're kind of talking
Did you see the bus of Philip Golson get knocked down on the highway? Knocked
that.
over? Is it some kind of telling? I mean, even you did knock on down.
Make I tell you something. The thing is, make I tell you something. I am a UDP and a UDP
You grew up in
activist
a
and
UDP
everything,
family?
and I grew
What?
up in a UDP.
Okay.
So I can't talk for you know. My disappointment is in my party that I walked away.
Okay.
You understand me? So my voting PUP, although I had to like the persons them. It's in protest, standing up for myself. Because this world, G Mike, if you not stand up for yourself, why would I go and vote for you when I am a part of you and your job was to destroy everything about me?
But you
You
get
understand me?
personal. You get kind of personal then, don't you? Because the policies
Because
of the
it's
party.
personal. It's personal.
I mean,
When people
yeah.
come after your person at every level and every angle, then it gets personal.
How,
And I hate when people say, in politics, you they get personal. Ross, you violate my person. So it's
the
personal.
yeah. Gal,
It's a personal. I hope I'm not frighten you. But G Mike and whoever called me for come on this program know what they were asking for.
yeah.
On
No,
they
Listen,
open a can of worms and start
I'm
talking.
I'm listening and I'm enjoying and
no,
I'm
but
learning.
you're not frightened nobody.
That's
We're
why.
enjoying
That's
it. Yeah.
that's why. That's
Uh,
why. G Mike, that's where I come in our league corner, this side of this world, yeah, and shut up.
And we know I left alone with the community tayo. Listen, the UDP is in shambles. They don't look very good now. As an outsider looking on, that you're no longer part of it. You no longer say, all right, in at that, the belly of that beast. But what do you see now? Because let's face it, we need a viable opposition. And you can't have a two-party system without one of the parties there. You see any hope in the future? Who you see coming up to lead Michael Perfeet, maybe?
Me don't know, boy. Me no, I don't know. I just they tell you when I walked away, and
Shine?
one advisor told me, he said, I can respect a dog who eats his pups. Eh? You know where that? A dog that eats his own puppy.
You get kind of deep there. After a while, I head back to shore. Me not going to swim out
Yeah,
there
go
in the
back to
water.
shore. That's
Yeah,
go back
yeah,
to
yeah.
shore. That's what I tell you. And then at that time, it was the time to make the shore though.
But not yet. We got more for go. You're in America now. You're dead in America now. Make we talk American.
Uh-huh.
Are you a Trump voter?
No, I'm not.
You're not like.
No, you don't have nothing to do with like or not like.
Would you?
I just think that if you have to have a goal hotel and goal this and then that's a little bit too much for me.
You mean write your
It
name
come
on the
off
plane?
it come off narcissistic to
You
me.
write the name on the plane. Well, you got a big ego. You got oversized ego. You've been there long enough to assess the performance of say Biden. You got there at the end of Obama's in Obama's second term, I imagine,
Right.
and then on to Biden. And any thoughts about Biden?
Um I don't think but commanding person. I went to one of his events where he was supporting a candidate in this area. And maybe I spent too much time to study politics, and I went home and I told my roommate, the candidate he's supporting will not win. And she's a heavy Democrat, and she said, Barbara, don't say that. No. I said, no, you watch the demographics. Around here, a lot of Latinos are here. I said, and what I see is when the Latinos then come out in droves.
Yeah.
And they're not here. I said I could have easily walked to the front and almost touched the president if that's what I want. I said, and so the political energy was not there.
You mean that he didn't get the protection from Secret Service that you think he should
He
get?
get the protection for Secret Service, but the atmosphere never even threatening enough.
I see.
So it was
Yeah. Do
that
you?
never vibe, but the candidate that he was supporting did lose.
Yeah. Do you think that the Democrats should maybe try to find another candidate as opposed to running Biden again?
I not give it that much thought. I know
see.
because I'm like I tell you, I'm turned off from politics because politics is the same politics everywhere.
How you
It's
feel
not
about
different for-
How you feel about the war in Ukraine?
I don't pay attention to that either. War is
Yeah.
war is just
War
not
is hell. War is hell. You see the prices going up every day. I think you need to. We're gonna have to. Everything they go up sky high. And some things are not even accessible anymore. And particularly here in Belize, it's kind of rough on that.
here.
So I think
too,
the war
yeah,
got one
it's
big
rough.
part. I think we should be, instead of fueling that war, trying to bring it to an end. Tell me something, the United Nations, because do they have any teeth at all? Because if they all stood up and said, listen, on the two.
Mike, they carry me where I don't want to go.
Uh-huh.
I don't want the Americans to send me home.
You make I feel
Let's
like
go
I
back-
grab your
let's go
hand and
back to-
jerk you in the
Let's go
bedroom.
back to Belize. I still got my Belizean passport.
Yeah, but you have opinions.
I have
and
opinion, but they're
you've
not
never
every
been
opinion.
shy about
No, they're
voicing
not
them.
every opinion you share.
But I don't think America is like that. America don't send you home just because you have
No,
a
no, no, no,
different
no, no, no.
opinion.
I just, and not
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
don't
you'd
have an,
rather not. You'd rather not
I
be
would rather
involved
not
in it.
discuss, and then not
Uh,
everything I have an opinion of.
have
I just,
you have you noticed the catastrophes around the world? Did you see that Libya just had a massive flood and it talk about thousands dead? Madagascar, massive earthquake, thousands
somebody else
dead.
have another, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are we getting a wake up call? Is there? How
I
are
think
you?
so. I
You
think
you
so.
are you
Let me tell you
spiritually
something.
inclined? You.
I'm spiritually inclined, yes,
All right.
and I'm
You believe in
spiritually
God. You believe
spiritually
in God.
spiritually protected. I believe in my ancestors
All
guiding
right.
me.
Hold up, hold
That
up, hold
part.
up. You believe in your ancestors or do you believe in God?
I believe that there's a supreme being.
Okay. But it serves the ancestors play a role.
Huh?
The ancestors play a role in
The ancestors play a role.
well,
Yeah.
the
The ancestors
ancestors might
play
in
a role.
fact be you.
Yeah, yeah.
Be just you.
The
Yeah.
ancestors always play a role, G
The
Mike.
ancestors play a role.
Well, I want you to pray for Greg for me because when it comes to God, he get very uncomfortable. You see, and the shifting like chair and whatnot.
Um,
I have no
Jimmy, you
problem.
know what? You
Barbara
know what?
Barbara
You
said
know
this
what?
correct thing. We believe in a supreme being
Yeah, yeah, that's good enough.
that
You
That's
know
good
guides
enough.
what,
us.
one of the things I wanted to put in our public conversation one day when I went to the Belize thing in Atlanta,
Hmm.
when they were talking about medical health. I'm a breast cancer survivor,
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
I would like to see Belize the same kind of money support that they give to the people who get dialysis. If they could give some of the same support to people with chemo.
Do they have enough to go around? Because that's a lot. And I don't know. Would you say that give less to the dialysis people and give
No, 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 no,
more?
no, 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 no. I don't say give less to the dialysis people.
Mhm.
Have a chemo program like the dialysis one.
Yeah.
Because man, I tell anybody the fortunate of being in the United States and have some kind of medical thing. Because I said, when you get diagnosed with cancer in Belize, and by the time you wake up and have to sell all of them barbecue for survive, that basically some of the things that are killing people. Because you
Great.
worry about where the money are come from, I'm not saying that you're supposed to get a free pass,
Yeah.
but the subsidy, uh, if you're help this one in a medical, I think that some of that assistance should go to chemo patients too. You don't
Yeah.
think so?
Girl, we're certainly in healthcare on a whole. We need to spend more money on that. But the government just
Actually, G Mike, we do spend a lot of money, but the money is not properly. It seems like it's not properly spent. If you look at the budget, I don't remember what it is right now, but it's a very significant portion of our national budget goes to healthcare. I I think education and healthcare are one of the two top reaches for our national budget. We need to do a lot to, like Barbara was saying, of us taking care of ourselves and be preventative in some of the behavior and lifestyle and action that leads to some of these very um, deadly diseases and stuff like cancer, and we don't quite know what caused that, but also like diabetes, we certainly have a good idea of what some of the causes for that is. Hypertension. So some of it is lifestyle and some of it is
Yeah.
actions we need to take on our part so that we don't become um, affected by some of these diseases.
And G Mike, hats off to the program that you're doing with children doing yoga.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
admirable. I've been paying
I'm back.
attention.
I had to come off camera because I'm gonna stand blowing in actually. I'm a window open, and I felt that water there, so I had to close the window. Sorry, but so yeah, man. The that is part of it, and we're supposed to. have it this evening and they didn't come, I guess the anticipation of tomorrow's small event. So if you allow me a minute, we could talk about that because the whole park thing now an experiment that I think has proven successful. I have
Unnecessary. Unnecessary.
necessary.
Unnecessary, yeah.
It started out as just some way for the kids come and play and be able to do something other than engage themselves in the negatives out there, no?
Mm.
Um, and I know we're not save everybody, but if we could save a few of them, I
Yeah,
mean
they're
that
right,
can be
right.
more. So but then it has morphed into something more where we're trying to now do some sporting programs. I'd love to do some music thing, and maybe if you or any of your artists would feel so inclined, they could stop by and introduce the kids at least to some kind of uh, um, part of the aspect of the business where they might not be privy to otherwise, no?
Well, if you have a structured program, if you have like you have a number of kids and everything, then like next summer when the Kilgore Music Foundation come in,
Okay.
then your program could be one of the ones that they bring a couple of instruments, teach the children how to use it. You
That
understand me?
would be awesome. That would be
That
awesome.
because it works better where there's some kind of structure. There's
Yeah.
so many things in
Good.
Belize.
Well,
You
well,
bring,
we
yeah,
for the information, we have a non-profit, we're duly registered and whatnot. We have about 50 to 100 children that are regular to the area. Though again, it's like pulling teeth when you try get the discipline
right.
because if there's not taught in the home, it's difficult for you to
Difficult,
grab
right,
them at
right.
that point. But we do our thing tomorrow, and I want to get a little exposure to that. That one every year we do one of these swap meet flea market kind of thing, where people from abroad when they send me at least something. Or this year we not get much, but we did on a small scale. But I look at it more from a point of getting people in a neighborhood involved. Because Barbara, I know that the sad part is that the parents aren't as involved
Oh, right,
as I'd hope
right.
them to be. And when you're a child, like for instance, we got a lead child 4 and 5 on the field to play ball, they cry, they try to play ball, and then start to cry. If the parent is there to encourage them on and say, no one stay ball, play ball, play ball. But if once they start crying, run off and nobody's there
Mm.
to give them that support, it's not as easy. So it's not easy, but it's necessary. So we're gonna have to do it. So when I got release sale tomorrow, I got some nice items, some footwear and whatnot. When you're in Belize, we want to invite you to come in and address the kids. And this invitation is for you too, Greg. When you come down, okay, I need help. I really need help. That one tough challenge.
Hmm.
I am committed though, and sometimes I feel like you, Barbara, say, you know what, I give up and I can't handle this.
Look, back in the days we took do the work with Secretary of State Jesse White, who came to Belize and wanted to send his tumblers every summer. Send one of the a number of the tumblers to work with tumbling group in Belize. So the thing is, there are a lot of things not happen because we're not prepared for it.
Hmm.
We don't
And
have the
we're not
consistent.
committed. We're not got the
We're not
discipline.
committed because everybody
Yeah.
at the top they look for how this will benefit me, how this will
Hmm.
benefit this one, how this
Right.
will, you understand
What
me?
can I get from it?
What
Not
can
what
I
can I
get?
give to it.
I
Yeah, yeah.
remember when I
Yep.
made that at Hong Kong School, right? Dr. Peters came in and he said, all right, we were fine. I was bringing people who are help with identify issues in the community, and I'll help you guys get the resources for the thing. That time there, let me say everybody that Angriga got AIDS. So he brought in an AIDS specialist because he
Oh
said
my God.
some of them thing could be stigma. He brought in an AIDS specialist to make the survey and see where they go on and different things like that. We clean the beach. We not come, they say this one thief, this one thief. We start clean the beach. He said, I walk along the beach, I bring my people and walk along the beach. Let's clean the beach. And so we bulldoze and we got sun and we this and that and that and that. And so he went back and we start with the program. We get palapas along the beach and different things like that. I was called into an office and asked, look at the situation with the Detector Long. And so what the F Peppers research bring to we? And my response was, if you don't know that, we in some serious trouble. Because if somebody come to you and make that kind of presentation, this building they're right there with students and teach this and teach that, and you understand me? So we have some leaders, so-called leaders in a position when they have no vision and want instant gratification for going in them pockets to enrich them. So the people suffer.
And where there's no vision, the people perish.
The people suffer.
Yeah. Listen, Barbara, it's been fun. It's been a wonderful 2 hours with you. Gone by so fast.
Past me bedtime.
And I am starting. Yeah, we know you're a night hawk.
No, me go sleep 7 o'clock the night, G.
Yeah, I dey up. I mean, the only kind of you are not the yarn now because you keep it excited enough, no? So listen, I want to say thanks, girl, and some other time down the line, you come back or you tune in. We're on every Wednesdays. Drop in and just drop a comment or a question. If you got something you want to discuss or promote, feel free to stop by, right? I'll make we work on it.
I don't get myself in enough trouble after tonight.
Yeah.
I don't say nothing about shine because that I'm a ballet.
Well, obviously that's all right. But the trouble when you get yourself in, that when you talk about roommate and refer to as he, and then significant other hoping or they listen.
No, my roommate was a she.
That she?
Not a mix up. Why don't try get
This is where I said when
broke up my marriage.
You say when in a minute discuss, I say but wait. So this girl don't tell by himself, man.
No.
All right. So that was she. All right. I stand corrected. I'm just saying maybe that one of them modern day.
You like
no, in this day and age, you could be platonic. You know, you don't have to be, I got a friend used to say everything that in a that. You know, so listen, Barbara, thank you. Keep up the good studies and the growth. Continue working with the artists. Continue having faith in Belize, because at some point on the line, man, we have to do better. You know, we've been doing bad for too long. All right. Really enjoy it. Thanks a lot. We're sending the royalty as they come due. No worry about it. Gregory?
Good night,
Yes.
Mr. Morrison.
Good evening.
We're out of here. Billy King. Pump it up, pump it up.
Yo, I see why this alongside the swingers. Yeah, me out, star. Who might win the battle? What are we win the war? We can do, we go to Kevlar. The burn is done. One time. Here we go. Fisher. Brand new. Rastabira is the people's champion. Now you like spot on Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. Judge a plan, organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. People's champion. Now you like spot on Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. Judge a plan, organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. This year one year is about a little Rastabira. One man in a polluted beast, ruling the root of Maya. So survivor, psychics could handle pressure. Even when they bout it, we still no go under. definition after Rastabira. Rastabira is the people's champion. I realize Papa and Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. Judge of one, organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. People's champion. I realize Papa and Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. Judge of plan, organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. The babies, it's a great thing. Major props to Freddy King. Thanks to all the love where we get from love and fame. But this is a warning to the tea pretending. You get in the river with me if you can't swim. Next year I'm back again. This time we'll swim. All the station prize including the bullhead. It's amazing when the bell ring. From a little note, they try to hang on like static green. That's the way the people's champion. I realize Fatman Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. That's a plan, organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. People's champion. I realize Fatman Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. That's a plan, organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one.
Gosh.
Wine. To the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. No, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire, jump fire. If you don't believe it, take a picture and freeze it. Aluna get room in a can release it. Watch how we steering, maneuver and balance it. One eye on it falls and still navigate it. We look at that civic, we no one will live. We use our draw the people, they watch we like Netflix. So take a break and please sit back and who believes it. Have a real Rastafari here in this shit. Who no serious like them virus. Nothing you can do fi catch up, so we know the quarrel, we know the fuss. Babies and people help me, sing me for us. Rastabira is the people's champion. I realize Fatman Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. Judge of one, organic conception. Rastabira moving like an army of one. People's champion. I realize Fatman Rastabira, make they know that just so we function. Judge of plan, organic conception. Rastabira moving like an